Okay, welcome to class 2 in the series. We are going to start sitting. So I invite you to find a spot. Now last week, we focused on, just to get us a little positioning here in the chakra world. So these are the 7 traditional chakras. Anyone who's done yoga, you've probably seen posters like this. And it's from the belief system we talked about last week, that we have energy centers in our body. If you've heard of Reiki before, that energy practice of healing works entirely on the concept of chakra. So we're doing yoga and we're cross-referencing it with chakra. So last week we started with root and we did feet and legs. And this week we go to the next one, which is our sacral chakra, which is our hips and our reproductive organs. So it's actually known as the area that is most vulnerable in our body. It's known as the area that in Eastern cultures they believe that that's where we hold our Kundalini energy, which in the Indian culture is past lives, karma, trauma, and joy from past lives. So a lot more now the Western world is believing that we also hold trauma in our hips. So Western medicine is seeing that. So there's a little bit of crossover between the ancient medicines and the more recent science. Coco's liking Allison's feet for those at home. Okay, so what's interesting about this area of the body is they say that when our hips get tight, that we may have physical issues, but we could also purely be emotionally holding on to pain and trauma. We talked about yin and we experienced some yin last week where you're in a position and you're tight, but the longer you stay there, you start to release and you realize you were holding it all along. That is actually my story with hips. You will notice that I have trouble moving my hips. It's an ongoing problem. But we talked, remember when we did the feet last week, and we talked about lifting one toe at a time and reestablishing the connection, mind-body. Well, I was told at 14 never to squat, not to run, or because of bad knees. So it ended up being that I lost the ability over the years to do a lot of positions that I'm trying to get back. It's interesting, right? So as we age and we start to have pains, we close in, move less, and that's a risk. So what we're going to learn here is how to open our hips. In addition to the physical side of it, we'll talk a bit about the energy side of it, the belief system. And we will do that during our meditation. You ready? Did you read the meditation blog? You did, right?
I did, yes.
We talk about it enough that you probably understand my philosophy around meditation anyway. Not sitting on my thing today because not feeling it. Anybody else need a cushion or anything to sit on? Be a little more comfortable? You want a blanket rolled up or is everyone good? Yeah? Good. Okay. Invite you to keep your eyes open or closed, whatever works for you. And this will signify the beginning of meditation with 3 rings and the end. Focus on our breathing. In through your nose, fill your chest, all the way down to your stomach. Push your stomach out. Every bit of air you can take in and hold. Now release, same, empty your stomach, all the way up to your chest, fully empty. And let's do that again. Deep in through the nose. Hold. Release and hold on empty. Let's try that 3 or 4 more times at your pace. Last week we talked about the mantra of the root chakra, as I am. The mantra of our chakra this week is I feel. So along with being the vulnerability center where we hold Kundalini energy, it is the place, the origin of our feelings. Ask yourself that question now. And when answers offer themselves up, try not to judge. Just notice. Notice what your subconscious is telling you feel. I feel. Continue breath at your own pace. Now offer up the two mantras together. I am and I feel. So an example might be, I am healthy and I feel tired. Not judging it, not trying to solve it, just noticing. Bring yourself back to that mantra every time your mind tries to work on something else. Are there any parts of your body that you're holding tight, that are resisting relaxation? Send a message of release to those areas now. And use your breath. Breathe in, focus on that area of tension, and exhale the tension. When you're ready, start moving your body, open your eyes, and come back to the room. Take a moment to move anything that's stiff or sore from being in one position. Good job, everybody. This is your quiet time. Getting a little easier? Yeah? Okay. We're going to start our physical practice today on our feet. And as much as this yin practice is mostly on the mat and restorative is with our supports, we also have to do a bit of physical work, a bit of salutation just to warm up our body and get it moving, especially when we're dealing with sacral energy. So we're going to start with sun salutation A. I'll face you so that you can see what I'm doing. And we're going to start by lifting our hands up in the air. And then hinging at the waist. Come as far down as works for you on the mat. If you reach all the way down to the mat, stay there. If you want to go farther, if you need a bit more effort, you can reach back between your feet. Gives you a farther hinge, a little more effort into your back. And lift halfway up. And put your hands on your elbows and let your arms swing back and forth. Really give a nice release to those shoulders. And come back down to the mat. Plant your hands on the mat, bend your knees. I like to go 45-degree angle out to protect my shoulders. And walk your feet back into plank. Now in the plank position, you're going to have your toes on the mat. And I'm going to give you a couple of options of how you stay. You can come low with your hips, or you can come up with your hips. It entirely depends on the amount of effort or ease you want to put into this today. When you're ready, walk your hands back towards your feet. And then much slower than you want to, walk your hands up your legs. So we're coming up one vertebrae at a time. Reach up. Hands together. Bring them down into prayer pose. Just a little bit of heat to get the body started. Now the very first position entirely depends on the person what you're able to do, is our yoga squat. And we're going to stay in this position for a couple of minutes. So you want to be sure that it's one you can do. May seem like it's okay in the beginning and then not be, and that's okay. You can pull back and I'll give you all of the options for you. But have your block handy. And for those who can get into a squat easily, you may not need the transition, but I'm going to show it from the transition side. So you start with a forward fold. Now, depending on, as I say, what your comfort level is, you might want to hold on to a block, or you might want to have your hands right down on the mat. I would recommend that you have your feet mat distance apart. Begin by bending your knees and bring your hips down towards the ground. Now this is the example of me who can't do this pose. So I'll show you what happens to me. My ankles come up. Ideally, I want you to be flat-footed, but if that's not there for you, while your hips are coming down to the ground, then you can lift your ankles up as well. The key is to get your hips in this position. It's okay, not going for you, then you can go down to
I cannot flat.
oh, there you got it. Now how does that feel though?
Flat. I'm okay as long as
I can't do flat either, Kath, it's all right.
I can't either. Okay, good.
Okay, so for Cynthia and for Allison, yep.
You do it.
That is the key. Okay, so if you can stay in this position, let's see how long it can work. Now, if the hands don't work for you, Kirsty, it's fine. You can hold on to the block. Most important thing is to have the hips in this position, as it is not a common position that we see our hips in. You probably don't want to hear what Sapiens and all the books say about why we used to do this as Neanderthals. I think you can figure it out. We've lost our ability to squat.
I keep seeing this ad on Instagram. It's this guy talking about hip opening, and he starts off by talking about how, you know, like the majority of the world goes to the bathroom like this or eats like this.
Exactly.
And in North America, we, like you said, we just lost it.
Well, and that is the whole theory around move it or lose it, right? If we don't do these positions, we tend to lose the ability. And because I wasn't allowed to bend my knees like this for 40 years, they lost the ability to do that, and I'm working on it. For years and years and years, I've been trying to do this. Yeah. Gone to a personal trainer, show me how to what to change. Now we're working on it.
You ever go to Vietnam and you see all these ladies? Just sit there.
I know, it's like nothing, right?
Wow.
They have this little stool, this like that, and they put it there to rest it.
Yeah.
And then I was back there, I remember when this
We're
one.
good at this.
Okay, so anyone who is finding that the knees are getting sore and fatigued, I'm gonna suggest you come down to the mat with the block underneath and sit. It's the closest that your hips are gonna get to this position with your arms down. How's that? Does that feel good? Okay.
Not my hips, it's my leg.
Did your leg that hurts the one that was sore before?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, don't do too much of that, please. Don't want a reoccurrence of that to be responsible for. I didn't cause the first one.
You did.
Okay, excellent job, guys. Now, I'm going to recommend the way you get out of this pose is to try holding onto the block and slowly lifting up back into a forward fold. And now shake out your legs a little bit because you're going to have some stiffness after being in that one spot for so long. Back and forth. Shake it out a little bit. Move your hips back and forth. Give them a little wiggle. Very well done, everybody. Okay, our next position, which is really a lesson in movement, is what we call hip cars. Now, cars are the articulation of the joints. So, again, as joints get stiff, people get arthritis. It becomes important just to move a joint to get the lubrication in there, to get it to work in the course of a day. And seeing this as a hip class, that's where we'll start. So I'll invite you first to lie down. I think for you guys, the right side is going to be best because then you can see me. You can put a pillow under your head or a block or an elbow, whatever is comfortable for you. Okay. Now, Kirsty, because you're the same side as me, when I say right,
Yep.
when I say left, I actually mean right for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're going to do first is you're going to, I'll say top, how about that? I'll make it easier. Take the top leg and bring your knee as close as you can in front of you towards your face. Now, externally rotate your knee. Totally fine to keep your hand there because this is an exercise for your hip. And then stretch your knee out behind you. Watch the person behind you. And in this position, the goal is, I know Cynthia, you were asking for the goal because I want to make sure you get something out of it. You want to feel it in your hip flexor, your top hip flexor. So if you don't feel it in your top hip flexor, then you need to get your foot to go back a little farther. And then we're going to repeat this in the opposite direction. Bring your knee up towards the sky. And then back down, parallel but lifted. And again, knee back towards your face. Parallel to the lower knee, externally rotate. And now push your foot back. Repeat this slowly and mindfully. Don't want you to do anything that hurts you. Just imagine that what you're doing is you're causing your joint to do all its positions so that all those areas get naturally lubricated. Now in this, I'm going to do a little bit of a flow here. So we're gonna stick to this side, move to another position, and then we'll come back and do hip cars on the other side when we're done this side of the flow. So from that position, who is comfortable lunging and who is not comfortable lunging? You're good to lunge? Anyone not good to lunge?
We'll try.
Okay, so we'll try, and if not, I've got a position for if we're not actually doing the lunge. Okay, so let's start on our knees and hands. Now, whatever hip you were doing the cars with is the one I want you to leave that knee on the floor and bring the other one up beside you with your hands on the inside. And then start walking your hands forward until you feel it in your hip flexor on the right.
Where's the hip flexor? What is that?
This is the, it's right here, and you should feel like a tightness or a stretch. And if not, just keep going. You can also try, Cynthia, to get your lower arms down on the ground.
Is it right up the front, Sherry, or off to the side?
It's right up the front. It goes up this side and through your groin, and it joins the entire thigh muscle structure up through your pelvic and hip joint. Do you feel it there? No? That's good. If you don't,
it's tight at the top. I feel it down here.
If you don't feel the stretch, it could just be that it's holding, and that after a bit of time it will let go. Technique is good, Cynthia. How are you feeling?
Good.
I feel it now, Sherry.
Just take some time. Excellent use of props. That's great. No, it is. That's exactly what you need to do, is know what you need when you need it. Okay, now from that position, start walking your hands back. Now have a block at the ready in case you need it at the back, but we're actually going to sit back onto the foot that's at the back. Keep your other foot planted and feel that position. Uncomfortable on the calf, and you don't have to do it if it hurts that leg. In your calf, we'll say at the back. You'll feel it in the calf and the. And so if you're not getting that, Cynthia, walk further back. Try putting your hands behind you.
I'm supposed to feel it in my left leg?
You should feel it in the down leg.
The back one?
Yeah. And then ultimate, again, it's a hip flexor.
I'm supposed to feel my calf?
You're not feeling anything?
I don't feel
Oh,
it.
you will.
Yeah.
I don't feel it in my calf, but here.
You feel it in your thigh,
I do too.
so it's coming to the top. Huh, okay. You're feeling it in the left thigh.
Okay.
That's interesting, okay.
Yeah, like it feels like this is where it's like pulling.
Okay. Okay, I got it now. I figured it out. Sherry missed a cue. You're okay. You should be feeling it in your thigh because your foot's planted on the floor. Tuck your toes under. It should send it up your calf, through your toes. Yeah, you don't have to cap it.
I'm feeling it in this one.
Okay, come back. And return to our butts. That was a weird exploration. Looking this good. Shake out the legs. Okay, now the next thing for this hip, same hip, and then we'll flip and we'll do the other side. Sit with your legs out, and then the same hip you've been working on, bring it in. This is what we call the half butterfly. Now go down to your back. Use a pillow or a block if you like.
see if your leg will lie all the way down. See if your knee goes all the way to the floor. If not, that's okay. What we want here is to have your hip system parallel to the floor. I don't want you lifting up the other side to get the knee down. The idea is to open that hip up. So if your knee already goes all the way to the floor easily,
what I want you to do is take a block, put it under the foot of the bent knee
to increase the angle and see if that offers a bit more of an opener for you.
If you feel like you're not getting enough of an opening for yourself, the other thing you can do is put just a wee bit of pressure on that knee. Yeah.
Can I try something else?
Slowly remove your props, straighten out that bent leg. Give your legs a little bit of a shake on the mat and turn the other way. Lie on the other side, and we're going to repeat on this side, beginning with the hip cars. Okay. So first thing, bring your top knee as close as you can to your face. Then lift it up, external rotation, hip opener. Now push your foot all the way back behind you, as far as is comfortable.
Can I hold my leg up?
Can you which, sorry?
Hold my ankle?
Absolutely. So if you need more help getting a better stretch, grab onto your ankle and pull it towards your buttocks. Lift your knee back up towards the sky. Knee towards the sky. And then back to the front. Knee to the sky. Foot to the back. Knee to the sky. Knee to the face. One more time. Now let's talk about breath cues while we're doing this. I'm giving a lot of instruction, but not a lot of breath cues. So I would like to teach you about breath. When you're doing something that requires effort, you often want to inhale as you're going into the position and exhale on the release. So in this example, as my knee comes to my face, I'm inhaling. The knee to the sky is the exhale. And then I inhale again as I go back. Exhale to the sky. So one position per action on breath. In, out, in, out. And then bring your knees together.
What was that called again? Was it
Hip cars.
hip cars?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing cars for other joints because I really believe in them and they're a really good tool for me. But this is something I do every day before I get out of bed.
I need to do this every day.
And it makes it so, like it used to be that I would have to do the stairs one at a time.
Wow.
And now, like, you know, okay, there's both feet on one stair. And now if I do this in bed, I can walk down the stairs. So sometimes the pain is really just a lack of lubrication that we can solve with just some movement. Yeah, okay, great. So then we're going to, now that lunge wasn't fun for most people. And you guys didn't really find it helped your hip flexor all that much. So I'm going to get you to do something different this time. So this is one that is really simple for, again, the leg that you didn't do last time, and one of my favorites. And it allows you to go as far as you want to or need to. So you lie on your side, and it looks extremely awkward, but what you're going to do is hold yourself towards the side with your arms, because you need that weight. Put the top leg with the toes behind you, and walk the toes as far away as you can from your body until you reach your edge where you don't want to go any farther yet, and then bend your foot into a flex so that you protect your knee. As far away as is comfortable to get that feeling. Is that holding you back?
It's okay. I feel great.
You feel as much as you want to? Are you getting as much as you want, Allison?
Yep. I'm
In that area there?
my glutes are actually like
On fire? Yeah, we're gonna fix that shortly. Excellent job, guys. And remember that when you get to a position, if you feel the strain on your knee, I want you to flex that foot, because that's what's going to protect your knee if you feel any knee strain in a position like this. What's terrific about this position now, I think that's the correct side, isn't it? Are you on the side now where the leg that's down is the one that we're working on?
the one that we did before, right?
Because I know we're different. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. No, it is. So from where you are now, I invite you to keep that leg bent, but attempt to straighten the other one and slowly roll so that you're flat on your back, so that you're coming into butterfly from the position you're in.
Okay, so straighten the top leg.
So straighten the top leg
Okay.
and just roll over onto your other glute. Let the leg that was bent be entirely bent. Bring your foot as close
Now I gotta do the other foot.
to your groin area as is comfortable. And lay back. Remember that what we want here is to have a hip opener on the left side. One side might be different than another.
Completely.
It's actually pretty common. If you need a little more, you can do the trick with the block under the foot. So what the block is doing for you is it's offering some load onto that joint through gravity. And if that gravity load isn't enough to get enough of a stretch for you, that's when you can offer a bit of pressure with your own hand. Or if you're doing this at home, I don't even recommend it's necessary to go out and buy tools like sandbags. If you have a bag of beans or a bag of pasta, something with just a little bit of weight to it, it's kind of like a small sandbag, use that on your knee. on your back. See if you can, at your own speed, as you're using breath at your own pace, send your breath to your stomach instead of your chest. See if you can consciously picture that as you're inhaling, it's making it all the way to your tummy and not just your chest. When you're ready, remove your prop. Bring your bent knee flat to the mat. Give it a little shake. And then come and meet me in tabletop, which is the hands and knees. Remembering the 90-degree angle if you're someone who likes to protect your shoulders. I've had 2 rotator cuff tears, so this is the only way I do this. All right. This one's going to be a little more fun. How you can get a little creative and learn about your own hips. Okay, we've done enough to warm up your body, do some hip openers for you to stretch it a little bit. Now we're going to get down into puppy, which is you start in this position, but you bring your elbows as close as you can to your knees and stick your tail in the sky with your forehead on the mat. Now if that's too low for you, again you can use a prop, but you get your little puppy tail in the sky. And then I invite you to free flow your puppy tail. Draw circles with your puppy tail. Go front to back. Go side to side. Any spot that feels really sticky or sore in your hips, in your pelvic area. Free flow it here. Ask yourself, what are all the things that my hips can do in this position? Swing side to side. And come back to tabletop. Now this pose is cat-cow. And what it does is much more than our hips. But I really love what it does for the hips and pelvis. So that's why I'm doing it in this class. So cat and cow is a flow that always comes from the head. So the head is always going to be the first thing the last thing. It always comes from the opposite of the head. It always comes from the butt, and the head is always the last thing you move. So if I'm getting into cat, I'm first tucking my tail, arching my back. This is cow. Sorry guys, my brain's fried tonight. Saying all the wrong words. And have your head come all the way back so you look at your belly button. Now start with your pelvic area, tilt your tail to the sky, let your belly fall, let your chest fall, keep your arms straight and lift your head. Now tilt your tail again, lift your belly, lift your chest, have your head look back towards your legs. Now start with tilting your tail up, let your tummy fall, your chest fall, and lift your chin. Repeat this at your own pace a few more times. It's okay if you're hearing some cracking and crunching. That's just joints we haven't played with yet, getting some lubrication. And we're almost at the time where we get our balls, but I'm going to ask you to come back to a seated position. Have your ball handy. Okay, just before we work on our releasing all that we've done to our glutes, I'm going to invite you to bring your knees into your chest. We're going to just do a little bit of rocking over our hips.
If there's any sore spots, go in circles, back and forth.
Sherry, are we on the ball right now or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
No worries. Now this is the type of movement that if you don't have anyone at home who will give you a back rub and you need one, this will help with any soreness around the hips. All right, so I think with the use of the ball, it's probably makes sense to not demonstrate it because it's hard for you to see what I'm doing anyway. So I'm just gonna have you do what I'm doing while I do it, okay? Lie flat on your back. And bring the ball under your right butt cheek. And try to find that spot that is pretty much in the middle, right over from your tailbone. So find your tailbone and then find the middle. And for just a couple moments, straighten your legs. If that's too painful, move it down into a medial area of your buttocks. Just a slight lowering of the ball. Okay, now we're going to bring our feet to a planted position. And we're going to do some moving on this ball. So move your hips back and forth just slightly. What we want is for this ball to be moving right along the upper ledge of your pelvis, just below your hips. So right here. So when you're lying on the ground, you're going to slide over it. Have your feet planted and slide back and forth. As you're doing that, work your way down. Sometimes you have to give the ball some encouragement, or you can use your body. Work your way down so that it goes closer to the lower part, and then work your way back. You can walk with your elbows, use your feet, and just run it back and forth, left to right. As you're doing that, make a mental note, because there is a spot in everyone's glute that holds the most amount of tension, and when you get there, you won't like it. I want you to find that spot, land on it, and now you release your weight into it. Breathe in, and on the exhale, release the tension. This is a perfect example of what I consider struggle, but not suffering. If this feels like suffering to you, then remove the ball. I don't want you to suffer. But if it feels like struggle, that's a good sign. We're doing some good. I think you'll notice it after. Maybe 2 or 3 more breaths. Okay, remove the ball. Bring both knees into your chest and do a little bit of rock and roll again to massage both sides. And when you're ready, let's repeat it on the other side. Come over halfway from your tailbone to the edge of your left buttocks, right along the ledge there, and go slowly back and forth. Now work your way, moving your elbows and your feet so that you can come up and down that side of your buttocks.
Look for that spot that is the most uncomfortable for you. It's a little different in everybody, depending on your gait. And when you find it, release into it and breathe. Inhale, exhale the tension. Okay, when you're ready, release the ball. Find a position where you find comfort. Kathy, do you need a blanket? Do you need a blanket? Do you have a pillow?
Can I get you a blanket sometime?
You want another one?
No, are we covering our bodies?
Can't hear you.
Are we covering our bodies with the
Are you covering your buns?
Are we covering our bodies with a blanket?
Yes. Sorry,
Instructions.
the sport buds make it so I can't.
Sorry.
Yeah, cover yourself with a blanket if you're cold. If you're not, you don't need to. Now, does anyone feel any soreness anywhere where you want?
She need longer.
I know.
So Kathy's put her bolster under her knees to give some relief to her back. Would anyone like any other pillows, or are you all good? You're all seeing thumbs up, okay. So Savasana actually has a name I don't like to use called corpse pose. The idea is that it's the position of ultimate rest. Some people choose to lie on their backs, some their sides in fetal pose, others on their stomach. Doesn't matter, matters only that you rest. That you scan your body from head to toe. And if you feel any tension or discomfort anywhere, you release it with your breath. So let's inhale deeply through our nose. And exhale the tension and the pain. You continue to breathe deeply if that feels good to you, or at your own pace if you already have found a relaxation zone. We spend 5 more minutes here. mind is already bringing thoughts of what you have to do next or what's on your agenda tomorrow, say thank you, but let it pass away. This is your time. This is rest. Somebody's phone? Yours? Is it?
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Is it okay, everybody?
Well, it's lovely music.
Rescue people.
It's not bad timing. Wherever you are, start bringing your awareness back to the room. Feel the temperature on your skin. Notice the surface you're lying on. Feel your weight grounded into that surface. Start to twinkle your toes, rotate your ankles a little bit. What does it feel like to move your hands? Slowly move your head from side to side. And when you're ready, I'll meet you in a seated position. Now I can actually sit cross-legged because my hips are allowing it. Okay, we're going to do a little Eastern Kundalini exercise, which many of you have done in yoga and not realized. We're going to start by rubbing our palms together to generate some Kundalini energy. Today our hips worked hard for us. Put that energy on your lower back.